Do you like scary video games?
I think I would prefer the spooky ones, but I'm
Spooky.
fine.
Today we're talking about our favorite spooky video games. So the difference between a spooky video game and a horror game is that a spooky game doesn't necessarily have to be a horror game. It just has to have supernatural elements or some kind of thing that tries to scare you. So Minecraft, for example, is a spooky game because you have zombies and stuff in it, but it's not necessarily a horror game. Even though that game can be terrifying. Like, if you ever played Minecraft and been stuck in a dark cave without a torch, it can be really scary. Not gonna
Hmm.
lie.
Yeah, because I think recently they just made it a bit more scary with some extra updates. So, but yeah, I think it's just like really hard to gauge. But I think there's certainly spooky games I'm aware of, like Half-Life 2, Head Crabs, and there's definitely some spooky elements with it. But also there's like games like Conker's Bad Fur Day, for instance. It's got like spooky levels, and there's like Mario that has
Silent
spooky
Proof.
levels in it as well. So only then it's just like considering like knowing the kind of level that the games are supposed to be. Like horror
Yeah.
games, like Resident Evil and stuff like that, not
Yeah.
currently considered spooky games, but
No.
spooky games like Luigi's Mansion or I don't know. I mean,
Minecraft. Or
yeah.
or Left 4 Dead's probably Left 4 Dead's probably a good example because it's not scary, but you got zombies and you got to shoot people and stuff. And
Well, it's
Redfall, which is
in
coming out next year.
well, it's
Yeah.
in between like spooky and horror, but Call of Duty Zombies is considered spooky because
Yeah.
I think it's just more of a horror theme than like
I forgot
actually
about that. Yeah.
scary. So, but yeah, it's just and there's also like Halo and there's like got spooky elements. And
Yeah.
used to be like 8th of October, you expect an infection playlist to come, but there's none of it in like Halo Infinite. So I
Yeah.
still feel
Unfortunately.
really disappointed with that.
Yeah, so on speaking of Halo, on the Xbox box Twitter, I put up a poll that was, "What is the scariest moment from a non-horror Xbox exclusive game?" So they're not horror games, but they got scary parts. So I mean, we're gonna go through each. I'll go through each of the four options, and then we'll say which one you think won the poll and all that. So the first one is Combat Evolved. I mean, spoilers for 20 years ago, guys. The Flood debuting in Halo. That's some scary stuff. Like you're playing a normal Halo game. You're like, oh, I'm shooting aliens, and this is really cool. Then you walk into like a dark area, and it's like suddenly you're in bloody Alien. You're like these like the Flood's killing everything, and they're trying to take over everything. And you're like zombie floods, like elite hybrids. Oh, it's terrifying. Like it's literally a horror game within an action shooter game. It's literally. I mean, as I said, I just spoiled the 20-year-old game here. If you haven't played Combat Evolved, go play it. The level with the flood is genuinely quite scary, and it is a decent horror homage. And I would love to see more flood stuff. Like, I would love to see a flood spin-off game. That would be so good. So good. A flood
Well,
horror
I
game.
think I think what really works is that it's just how they introduced it. Like you just like go for the Halo normal. It's just like usual run and gun thing. But when you get into this facility, you just notice something really weird. Like when you
Yeah,
first see the facility, there's like grunts and the hunters or some. It's not hunters,
yeah.
but the those is it the I don't know. I just don't remember the
Jackals.
yeah jackals.
Jackals.
All of them are just literally running away from the facility, and it's just really unusual for them to do that. So then you walk in, there's a lot of the suspicious stuff. Then you find a dead soldier that's got a clip on it, and I think this is what really made it very scary. You get
Yeah,
this clip that shows what the Marines have been up to. Then they discover there's floods, and it's all caught on video. And then as soon as
yeah,
that pops up, Master Chief immediately took out the chip. Then the flood just came flying in, and you had to kill them with the shotgun. And I think that is really, really a good way to introduce a horror element into this whole game. It just subverts the expectations that you're literally like going in and killing aliens for fun, and that's just a case of like, yep, it's definitely a horror element.
I mean, it's as you said, it's like a twist. It's a brilliant twist in storytelling, and it's environmental storytelling done to the best of its ability. It's like, as you said, you're walking around, you're like, what's going on here? It's like no one's coming up like, hey, in a minute there's gonna be aliens coming up. You watch out, or like no one's like telling you that. It's like you literally walk around. As you say, you see grunts and jackals running away from something. And you're like, what the hell are they running away from? What's going on? And then you go in there and there's like dead jackals and like blue blood from like the aliens all splattered everywhere. You're like, what the hell's going on? It's just like it's just such a good twist. It's like it's a fantastic twist, and why Halo is one of the best gaming franchises ever, one of my favorites, and why I'm an Xbox fan. And if you haven't played it, what are you doing? Listening to an Xbox podcast if you haven't played Halo Combat Evolved? Like, come on now. That's the first option of our poll. Oop, my mask is stuck. I'm stuck in the mask. The second option in the poll is the facing the Berserker in Gears of War 1. That was terrifying as well back in the day. Do you remember fighting against the Berserker in Gears 1?
Yeah, is it the first boss where it's a female locust and like chasing?
Yeah, you can't kill it with normal bullets. The only way you can kill it is by using the Hammer of Dawn. So you need to get out of the building, and the only way you can get out of the building is you've got to make her run into the doors and smash them open. So you've got to basically get her to run after you and dodge at the last second. It was terrifying when I was playing it for the first time, like growing up. It was absolutely like terrifying back in the day. Now I've played it more recently. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this quite easily now. I get the pattern and the movement and all that. But
I
like,
just
she
think
kills
it's a bit.
Carbine and
Yeah, it's just really. I just see it as a comedy because you just have the ridiculousness where you have a people chained up and they're like, it just ran out, and then there's like, and smash down doors, and just basically what you do, you just bait her into like smashing doors, and then you get her cooked with a beam from above, and it's just so funny.
I was scared. I was genuinely scared of this boss back in the day. I was like, no, leave me alone.
But is there any other parts of Gears of War that are like scarier than that?
Yeah, there probably is, but that's the one that springs to mind to me. I like maybe there's areas where if you go into the darkness, you get attacked by bats and killed instantly, which is kind of similar to like Plague Tale now I think about it. It's like there's lots of massive bosses and stuff. So I thought that one was good because you like there's literally nothing you can do apart from like run away, and she can't see you. All she can do is hear you, so you just got to be quite quiet and like try not to, make a sound and all that. I thought it was quite tense and scary. Reminds me a bit of the clickers in The Last of Us as well, a bit like that. They're kind of creepy as well in their own way.
I just think like Gears of 5, in my opinion, has more scary elements, but that's without checking like Gears of War 2, 4. But I think there's definitely like body horror elements in it, and I think
there is.
Yeah, I don't really have to like mention a lot of this stuff in case of spoilers, but I think there is like a lot of frightening stuff. But not only is just like really scary at first, but it gives you long-term scares that you just feel like that it just that like intrudes your thoughts of how this just being really actually true in this whole world, and it's just not helped.
Yeah. So the third option in our poll is I called it Minecraft the First Night is what I called it. So I mean, like,
really,
the first night. Well, yeah, it is the first time. If you play Minecraft for the first time and you're playing it hardcore, not like creative, trying to survive the first night in Minecraft was terrifying, or was very challenging at least. Like you didn't know about zombies and all that. So it's like you dig a hole straight down and just put a block over your head and wait for it to come daytime or whatever, or like you try and build a house really fast. It
Bitch,
is.
you should have checked out the deep dark right in the caves. There's a new update comes out, the wild update. There's a deep dark, and it's like really dark, but you just have to go around, make sure you don't disturb the shriekers. But when you activate 4 shriekers, then it's just like your screen pulsates, so it gets dark and gets light, and then the warden comes up. That you just cannot get rid of the warden anyway. You just like it's very hard to get away with the warden, and he even like shoots supersonic things, and this can actually make you lose your stuff, and you can even die even wearing netherite armor. I think this is like a much scarier experience if you think about it, but I don't know how people feel about it. Which is better, the deep dark experience or the first night? Probably let us know in the comments, I think.
I mean, let's do it in the comments what you think scarier. I thought the first night of Minecraft would be scary because obviously you don't know what you're doing, especially if you played it on your own for the first time and it's like, oh, there's zombies, well, you know.
I think there's ways to make that scarier. That
hardcore modes maybe.
Yeah, that's right, because you get zombies who can crawl over it, but they can actually break down your door, and it's just like not fun, which is why I keep thinking like I need to build a door above the steps of ladders or anything so zombies can't get to it. But
that's what I always do,
But there is one version of Minecraft that will make it extra scary for you. Do you know what it is?
No, go on. I'm intrigued.
The vanilla version of Xbox 360 Minecraft. Once you build up the house, you put the bed there and with the roof. But if you put the bed too close to the wall, guess what? You go to sleep and there's a spider right on top of your lap.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, it was actually a glitch that somehow you sleep and then the spider like wakes you up and you have to get rid of it. Which is why, for the time being, you had to avoid putting your bed close to the wall. But thankfully, that was being patched. I don't know if you remember that time, but I certainly remembered it.
I played the 360 one so much. I got all the achievements on it and everything, but I don't remember that. I must have just missed out on that one.
It was the first memory of it. Like, when I get in the tutorial world, and, like, I built the house, I put the bed there, and when I did that, I just thought, oh, a spider came in, and I'm like, how? How did they get in? I just tried to barricade myself.
Yeah, the zombies and the spiders are not, spiders to this day still freak me out. I'm not a huge fan of spiders. Speaking of which, the final option in the poll was the grounded brood mother, the big spider in Grounded that I haven't made it to yet, so I shouldn't really be talking much about it. But still, big spider, big scary spider that takes up like the whole screen. And if you have arachnophobia mode, you can turn it into a blob. But if you don't have arachnophobia mode on, you will be scared. It is terrifying.
I haven't got to this point yet, so
neither have I. I think it's the final boss or one of the final bosses, but it's just big spider.
Because the Bridman mother is also a champion in Dota 2.
Oh, really? Yeah. So there's the clip I shared last week on the podcast where I was just minding my own business and grounded in my house, and then a giant spider just jumped out of the blades of grass and killed me. That was quite scary. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you came to this part yet. Did you?
No, I haven't got to the Brood Mother yet. As I said, it's one of the last bosses in the game, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. But anyway, I think if it's a Nintendo poll, there's certainly a lot of candidates there, and it's not just Luigi's Mansion. There's Andros from Star Fox 64. That's scary. There's also the piano in Super Mario 64.
Oh, man, that used to freak me out back as a kid. Yeah, I didn't like that. No. Do you know what scared me in Mario 64 as a kid? The giant fish in giant big small world, I think it's called. You get the giant fish that literally swallows you whole. It kills you. Like I was just swimming along and then suddenly the fish eats you whole, and that just terrified me. I'm like, nope, not playing on that level again. I don't want to be eaten alive. As a kid,
Yeah.
that freaked me right out. That did. I was like, ah!
I was a bit oblivious, to be honest, but when I was a kid, I was used to be really scared of adverts that come on TV. Like, if it's weird or it has some, like, monsters or stuff like that on the TV, you get really scared. And this, especially with those Sugar Puffs adverts, you know, like kids get turned into honey monsters.
Yeah. Oh, they got some weird adverts. Like in the UK at the moment, they've got to defeat vegetables, you must eat them or something, and they look like monsters, and they're just kids just eating like a carrot and then like eating it in half. It's like, what? How is this an advert? I don't understand. Why are you're basically trying to teach kids that you should eat these vegetables because they're scary looking, so you eat them and then
Yeah.
you defeat them, which is
It's
really
basically
weird.
propaganda for mass genocide.
Yeah, something like that.
But anyway,
Yeah, you
as
made a
for
good point with
the
Nintendo games, though.
but as for the Sega games, there's definitely spooky moments in there too. Like, I think it was in the Shinobi 3. There's a huge monster whose face takes up an entire screen, and you have to kill its eyeball. But in the Adventures of Shinobi, there's a boss that is literally Godzilla, but because of a like rights problem, they changed it into a skeletal Godzilla or some sort.
Nice.
But I think the really scary moment is that I haven't got to this far, but in Echo the Dolphin, the final boss is just literally a huge face of this that looks like a alien from the Alien film, but it has eyes, and you had to get rid of its jaw, and it keeps spitting out jellyfishes. So you just have to like get rid of it and sort it out. But it is really, really demented.
So, in a game where you play as a dolphin, your final boss is an alien that shoots jellyfish out of its mouth.
Yeah.
That's okay. I've played a bit of Echo the Dolphin. I do not remember that bit.
Probably it's because it's too hard.
Metroid used to freak me out as a kid as well, like Ridley and Mother Brain and stuff. Oof, terrifying.
I think when I was playing Metroid Prime, I think the game over screen like really creeped me out because it's just like beeping and you see this helmet there, but even worse than that before it. When you lose out of the health, it switches off of the screen there, so it's just not so pleasant.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you get anything from this podcast, is that I'm a bit of a wuss. I'm scared of everything.
That explains about the poll though that you put up because you just pick on the beginner's scares there.
Yeah,
so
I'm trying to be a bit more inclusive. I was going to also mention we talked about Nintendo, Lava Town in Pokemon. That was creepy. You know, like the tower that do.
It's associated with creepypasta, really.
It's a very creepypasta thing.
But the sorted world in Pokemon Platinum is much worse. But I do like the world there, and the music is like more morbid. But I just really enjoy going through it, and I enjoy listening to the music too.
I feel like the older I've got, the more I appreciate horror stuff. I never used to like horror at all, but it's like stuff like Stranger Things and like Resident Evil and stuff like that. I appreciate. I'm not a huge fan of. There's still like the films you see on TV, like Smile and all that, and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna watch that. Or like there's some horror films I'm like, nah, but I do appreciate them a bit more now, like The Shining and stuff. I appreciate that for what it is.
I like watching horror movies, but I just don't really like ones that's like filled with jump scares because you just like predict there's one coming up and then you had to cover your senses there. And I think that's where it doesn't work. But if it just somehow invades your thoughts, then it's bad. Which is why I've been like watching Enchantation from Netflix in the past weekend.
All right. Oh yeah.
Watched the hidden camera thing. Just watched it, and it was really haunting. It's alright, but then there's like a bunch of jump scares that are like makes you cover your senses. But I think it's really horrifying. Is that you have this like really cursed thing, and you just like has video footage of this whole thing, and it just like makes you feel as if you're getting involved with it. And there's a trick on the screen that if you like repeat the words and stuff like that. Apparently, it just gets you cursed because of like if you were to chant those things on the screen, it just tricks you into doing that, and then
No thanks.
they tell you that you get cursed because you're sharing the curse with someone.
Okay. Yeah, like I'm not. As I said, I'm not really into my horror stuff. I think I've said this before on the podcast, but when it comes to jump scares, I have like a thing I always say is that jump scares ain't scary; they're just annoying.
Yes.
That's what I like. If someone in real life came up to me and went bleh, like that and tried to startle me, I would punch him in the face. I wouldn't be like, "Oh, I'm so scared." I'd be like, "Go away, you weirdo! What are you trying to startle me for?" Like that's my opinion on jump scares. I don't like jump scares. Startling me is annoying. It's just I find it annoying. I don't enjoy it. So why would I go out of my way to be startled all the time? And
I
that's
still
what
remember
annoys me about horror films.
I still remember you saying that, and yeah, it just perfectly sums up about jump scares. But anyway, before we move on, did you mention the results from the polls?
Yeah. So the overall winner with 57% by a landslide was Halo. The level of the flood it is iconic. It is one of the greatest horror levels in a non-horror video game, I think, ever of all time. If you want to say like a game that's got amazing horror that's not a horror game, that's the level right there. Halo Combat Evolved, The Flood. I think it's called The Flood. I'll have to look up the name of the level in a minute. But
So was it followed by?
Second place was Gears of War: The Berserker. It's 19%. 14% say Minecraft, 10% say Grounded. But I think Grounded the Broodmother is probably actually a really scary thing, but no one's got that far yet. Like, that's
We should work together to get. We should work together to get rid of that Broodmother.
Yeah, definitely. That should be our goal over the next few weeks to get that done. Yeah, that's the result of the poll. Thank you guys for voting on that. If you want to be involved in future polls for the podcast, again, I've mentioned this a couple of times in the podcast already. X marks box on Twitter. That is our official Twitter account where we put polls up and ask questions to the viewers and stuff. I also put my point of views on there, which I probably shouldn't, so I'll try and be a bit more careful with that.
And please, you have made it to the end of this week's X Marks the Box podcast. You should follow us on X Marks the Box on both Twitter and YouTube. But never forget to subscribe to us on all audio podcast services. Now, it's about to turn into night, so remember your three favourite things well. Have yourselves a very happy Halloween. That is, if you could make it to Christmas.